Welcome to the Jack Mountain Bushcraft Podcast, episode 65.
Welcome to the Jack Mountain Bushcraft Podcast with your host, Jack Mountain Bushcraft School founder and master main guide, Tim Smith.
I'm your host, Tim Smith. I'm a registered master main guide, and in 1999 I founded the Jack Mountain Bushcraft School. We help people become more skilled, more knowledgeable, more experienced, and more confident outdoors by using traditional skills, a few simple tools, and field-based experience. Whether you're looking to go from city slicker to competent outdoor professional, want to experience a remote expedition, or just want to learn a few new outdoor skills, we've got you covered. You can check out the show notes to this and all of our podcasts at blog.jackmtn.com. When you're there, click on the podcast button. And if you enjoy the show, please leave us a review on iTunes. Lastly, the best way to keep up with our programs and trips is to join our email newsletter, and you can do that at jmbnews.com. Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Jack Mountain Bushcraft Podcast. It is a auspicious day here at the Jack Mountain Bushcraft Field School. We have reached halfway day. And this is the day in the semester where we're halfway through the course. So Wednesday, midweek, week 5 of a 9-week course, 4.5 weeks down, 4.5 weeks to go. So we've spent the morning of halfway day working on our 2-hour quickie bows. Both making
about
successful
30 hours into it.
Making successful bows, making some kindling.
Yep, it was worth it.
But yeah, so join today in the Guide Shack. We're doing this over our lunch break. So we've got Anthony, Glenn, Jeremy, Christopher, and myself. How are we doing, boys?
Yay.
Anybody not doing good?
Good as a sick man can do.
Good as a sick man can do.
Yeah, that illness Tim and I mentioned a few podcasts ago, it's still moving through camp.
It's worked its way through, I think, everybody
Little
here.
disease vectors.
Not me.
No, not Anthony.
No.
Just about everybody. So Anthony has something to look
drinking
forward
my
to.
Airborne with vitamin C and taking my elderberry syrup pills.
There you go.
If you really want to get sick, can you make that
Don't kiss me, Glenn. I will not kiss you for $1.
Anyway, so we're going to talk about what we've accomplished so far. We're going to talk about what we have left to do. And we're going to talk a little bit later towards the end of the podcast about plans for the future. That we're thinking maybe spring 2020, we're going to mix things up dramatically. So you guys, 4.5 weeks in. At the beginning of the course, I always tell everybody, in some ways, this 9 weeks is going to feel like you've been here for 1,000 years. And in other ways, it'll go by in the blink of an eye, right? So there's certain, we definitely started off with cooler weather this course, lots of snow and rain and cold. And now the weather is moderating and it's a lot nicer and the bugs are out. And but you guys are really into the rhythms and kind of routines of camp life, or as we sometimes call it, the woods life. And just curious, any reflections you guys have on that, kind of at this juncture,
You said it would feel like we've been here for 1,000 years. I'm sure I smell like I've been here for 1,000 years. But it's gone by pretty quickly. I feel like the skills are building fairly decently. Kind of really looking forward to getting out of camp for a little bit.
Yeah, and Glenn, you have an interesting accent. Are you from southern Maine originally?
Oh, very far south. It's like if you dig down in southern Maine and then go north a little bit and then back down south, you'll kind of get to the places I've been to, I suppose.
I read this internet news article, and there was some website where if you plug in your location, this little tool they had would determine the exact opposite side of the globe. Right? So, and I plugged it in for here, and it's like in the ocean to the west of Australia.
Oh, wow.
So if you dug a hole, you'd get almost to the other side of the world, and then the last shovelful, the hole would fill with water, and you get kind of thrown up in the air in a big spout of water.
Yeah, and eaten by sharks off the coast of Western Australia.
Right. So we'd get, those sharks would end up getting sucked into the hole and ended up in our pond.
Well, that's the idea, is that we want to stock the pond with sharks.
Oh, bull sharks, just wait till next,
that'd be great.
I'll see if we can get some eggs shipped
This
over.
brook has got nothing on a bull shark.
Yeah. Like, find me another pond in northern Maine where you can fish for bull sharks, I'm sure.
There's definitely something in that pond at the moment.
Yeah. Yeah, so...
Yeah, so I totally dodged that question. Yeah, from Australia, originally, I spent like 5 years in Canada, bit in Alberta, bit in British Columbia, so I'll sound weirder than I should, but yeah, no, it's good.
So I think I've told you, but I don't know if the listeners have ever heard my thing, that someday I'm going to go to Australia and tell everybody that I'm from up over.
I think you're getting some insight into how that's going to go over when you try it.
Oh, you'll be the talk of the town.
Oh, yeah.
I'm from up over there.
I'm from up over.
You know,
Yeah.
we drink our silver bullets up here. And, you know, go down the old Pinkham Road.
Oh, yeah, we'll tell them all
Christ,
about life
yeah,
up on
you know.
the Pinkham Road. Jeez.
Yeah, I know they think their spiders are scary, but they've never woken up in the middle of the woods on a skidder with no memory of how you got there.
When John Denver wrote his famous song Country Roads, originally it was Take Me Home Pinkham Road. And then they focus grouped it and changed it the last minute to Country Roads.
Yeah, that checks out.
Yeah.
No
Anyway.
one knew where it was.
So, projects that we have successfully completed on this course so far. You guys are a canoe paddle in, a couple of shelters in, bow drill fires, what we've made, burn bowls, spoons, what haven't we made? I guess we haven't made knives yet, but that's the only big
Or baskets.
baskets. Those are our big items that we have left to do.
We're all working on our hammocks slowly but surely. A little bit
And kind of the way we design the course is a lot of time in camp in the beginning, and the second half of the course, a lot more time out on the trail on the rivers of northern Maine. So we have that to look forward to as the fishing will get really hot. So we're excited about all of that. So yeah, that's kind of where we've been. The plants are really popping around here now. The fiddleheads right at the field school are just breaking ground, and those are the young ostrich ferns. And they're growing down alongside the river, along with the stinging nettle, which is coming up. And those two things often grow right in the same location, and they're both a couple of great spring edibles. Yep. We had a neat... I've been looking for morel mushrooms for years around here, never seen them. And then I think it was Anthony who was like, hey, you have morels growing in that old garden space. So, you know, that old trope about you go looking the world over for something and then you find out it was growing right at home anyway. You know, whether it's love or morel mushrooms or love.
What if love
Is there a
and
moral to that story?
The moral is that love and morels are the same thing. The morale is
The morale. Oh, yeah.
I don't like this.
Not
joke anymore.
morale.
I'm over
Morale.
it. Let's move on. This is
joke.
getting really bad.
Yes, it is. Yeah, we're lame.
Awful. Anyway.
I just want to say that I did not choose the woods life. It chose me, but...
There you go.
All right. So, Jeremy and Anthony, what about you guys Glenn kind of answered the question of it feeling 1,000 years. What are you guys taking away from what we've done so far?
I'll let Anthony go first.
Oh, I needed
Because
time
that
to
gives
get an
me a
answer.
second. It's like...
Yeah.
So what was the question?
So the question was...
Two trains leave Chicago.
No. So at the beginning of the course, we talked about, sometimes it would feel like you'd been here 1,000 years, and sometimes it would feel like it'd been half a second. What do you guys think about that as far as like the projects and stuff go? Is there stuff you're slogging through, or is there...
So I had a nightmare last night for the first time here. My nightmare was that I was back at work. So, we're getting halfway through here, and already I'm getting the return to reality...
jitters?
Jitters, yeah. I mean, evidently, it's the first time I've been here that I had that, and I was like, I'm back at work.
Well, I don't know if you guys know this, but when you guys leave, there's a two-week required reintroduction process that you guys have to go through.
You're going to go to a camp, basically, and talk to a psychologist every day.
Yeah,
That's what they did
3
for
times
me
a day.
getting out of the military. It was like, hey, guess what? You got 2 weeks. We're going to reprogram you. No, it doesn't work.
That's our plan.
Yeah.
So, projects, I mean, it seems like there's a lot of projects going on all at the same time. I continue to work on my burn bowl slowly but surely. Throw some coals in that in the morning, and, when I'm ready to come up here, then I dump them out and kind of scrape my bowl a bit, and then try again at night, because we usually don't have a fire during the day. And then we're working on our bows, so that's still going, and I've got a lot of wood to keep taking off of mine, because it's a pretty big piece of cherry wood. And then working slowly on the hammocks, which seems like it'll never end. And I'm kind of behind on that. So, there's just a lot of projects going on, I think, all at once.
Yep.
So,
By design. I mean,
yeah.
idle hands are the devil's plaything. If we didn't give you guys enough to do, you'd probably get into some shenanigans and,
And we want to be the ones
we
getting
got
into
plenty of shenanigans up here.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I think that's also the reality of like living this way. You're never not doing something. There's always a
something
net
to
that
do.
needs to be repaired or an axe handle that needs to be made.
Yeah, I might actually have to make an axe handle soon.
Yeah.
I got a split after trying to teach the wife how to swing the axe. I noticed there was a split starting it.
Are you blaming your wife?
No,
for
I'm
your
not
axe
blaming the
being
wife. It
broken?
might have
Oh.
actually been me when I was, splitting some wood. I might have whacked it off of the wood anchor that I was using and just...
Yeah, so
Shit
but it's a good, interesting point to make that, when you're kind of living without infrastructure, when you're living, the kind of the woods life, that it's a never-ending series of tasks. And I think it's over-romanticized in the popular culture. Like, I'll go live in the woods. And you imagine just sort of sitting around all day, like, listening to the birds sing. And you're like, well, I got to cut some wood. I got to haul some water. I got to finish this project. I got to harvest that. I got to do that, do this. And I remember the first semester here at the field school, we actually came up here in the spring for the first time. Bought the land the winter before and came up here. It used to be was it a 10 or 12 week semester? Then it used to be longer. We've shortened it because without infrastructure, it's just harder to stay focused for that length of time. But I remember showing up, there's nothing here. I remember building a shelter the first day. There was still knee deep snow. And I remember if I can just finish this project, life will be a little easier. Life will be a little bit better. And it was 3 weeks into it where I'm like, I haven't taken a breath, right? And you sort of realize the people who in the pioneer days where, they get dropped off somewhere and they didn't, there wasn't a town nearby to go to. You could literally work yourself to death just by trying to make your life a little bit better. So it's, that sort of never-ending series of tasks. And I think you have to physically and mentally make the time and take the time to take a break from now and then.
Yeah.
And we do that by, hey, it's the weekend, put stuff down. Step away from the hand tools. Step away from the shave horse.
Right.
Mix up the actual instruction. Like yesterday, we decided to hike the perimeter of the property, clear some trees from the trails, things like that, go on plant walks. So, from this side of the table, from the instructor's perspective, that's something that we try to manage. Is that sort of the never-ending list of things to do, to work on, to accomplish.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was kind of a long-winded bit. Do you have any reflections, Jeremy?
I have tons and tons of reflections about this so far. 4.5 weeks in is no joke when it comes down to the entire... It's just huge. It's one of those awesome tasks that you jump into and you're like, this is going to be so easy, and it's not. A lot of people fail to realize that you're not living to work. You're working to live. You're actually living out here, not just another mindless mouth breather. You're actually putting in the effort to make yourself survive the elements and stuff, and it's I enjoy it. It helps me wake up in the morning and it's all right, I'm going to cut some wood today. I'm going to take care of this stuff. I'm going to take care of that. My projects, just checking them off one at a time. I couldn't ask a question about something. I pulled up a quick video, fixed it, did what I had to do. I looked at the pack frame and I'm like, I can reverse engineer that. Simple string and 3 sticks, no problem. I'll probably do that later on. And the only problem I'm still having is with the bow drill. I'm losing my mind. I've tried and it's just not working. So
the gods on Mount Olympus are making you work.
Yes,
the fire gods up there are smoking.
I will get it. It's just one of those things. You just got to keep working at it.
Yeah.
I've got 2 new fireboards that I just made. I found a spindle from the canoe expedition that I'm going to try out, and I made another spindle. So.
Blood sacrifice to the gods on Mount Olympus.
I've been bleeding plenty, so
there you go.
Yep, and it's been fun. the family came up this past weekend. They all enjoyed it. Glenn did a fire demonstration with his bow drill and had a successful fire. We fed the pet. It was great.
Nice. That's great.
So, and Dorothy hung from the grass rope that he made. She was holding on to the middle of it, and she was probably a good foot off the ground with no breakage.
So we do to pass the cordage making section of the course. You got to make 10 feet of cord and be able to hang your body weight from it. So
yep.
She weighs probably almost nothing compared
40
to
50 pounds at this point.
How old is Dorothy?
5 years old.
Dorothy's a 5-year-old little girl, so Dorothy doesn't weigh like 600 pounds.
No.
Dorothy's a small person.
Yeah, 40 to 50 pounds at this point.
But it's still a 50-pound piece of cord.
Yep.
Made from like 8-month-old semi-decomposing grass reeds.
Yeah, and if we get like 6 of those together, 50 pounds, so that'd be 300 pounds. We could maybe use that to haul in one of the bull sharks that'll be in the pond after I dig my hole.
Nice.
Oh, wait.
I think you're digging a hole with the joke, Tim.
Yeah, I do that a lot. I'm good at that.
Anyway.
Been a lot of fun though.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like it's been forever, and it doesn't feel like it's gone by super fast, even though sometimes you wake up and you're going, holy crap, we're halfway through. Other than that, it's the woods. I would rather just be out here than living in a house. I'd rather be home free than, home want to punch myself in the face.
Homebound.
Yeah.
Under home arrest?
Yeah. Because it does. It feels like
we can make that happen.
It feels like you're arrested and you're on lockdown when you have a house. It's nice to have a smaller shelter, something a little bit easier to maintain. You don't have all of the problems of like plumbing. We just had issues with our plumbing.
So really, if you feel like you're arrested in a house, you're arrested by development rather than having arrested development?
Yes.
Nice.
That's a
Is that a TV show or something?
It is.
It was a play on words,
Yeah. Arrested development is that you're not growing anymore.
Okay.
But
you kind of feel stifled. Out here, you have the ability to try all the things that you want to try when it comes to working with your hands, living off the land kind of stuff. You don't have a lot of major restrictions like you do with a house. And you have all these stupid zoning laws, and you have to pull permits, and you have to do all this
I can't do a
mindless
fire
BS.
in my house.
No. But
just take the
only thing stopping you is believing.
Yeah.
If you believe it, you can do a boat fire.
Just remember, don't stop believing.
If you can dream it, you can do it.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's what I learned.
That's the Jack Mountain way. If you can dream it, you can do it. Even if that dream is drilling a hole to Australia and putting bull sharks in the pond.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I feel better about myself already.
That's the goal.
Yeah. So, I think we've kind of summed up what we've done so far in the course. And our big trip, we always like to end a course with a culminating experience. So we'll end it with a big canoe trip. Yeah. We never decide where we're going until right about when we're about to go, because everything in the summertime here, if you're traveling on the rivers, is water level dependent. So we'll keep an eye on the water levels and see where we can go. And the beauty of May is that everything's flooded and you can go anywhere. But then you get into late June, and because of the logging practices where they cut so hard and cut so much that the forest doesn't hold as much water, so that spring runoff happens a lot quicker now. So, we're sort of at the mercy of how much rain there is as opposed to where we can go. So we're going to wait and see on that. But, then we've got solos as part of the culminating experience, and it's just looking forward to that. It's a neat way to kind of wrap everything up into a nice package, I think. And it gives you something to look forward to that, kind of like a novel. You're building towards this sort of epiphany. No, that's
crescendo.
Not crescendo. That would be more of a symphony, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
as opposed to a novel. Is it a?
Why do you ask me? Hang on. This is a trend.
It's a musical novel.
Why do you ask me questions and then rip apart the answers that I give you?
No, I'm just trying to get to the bottom of it.
No, the crescendo's at the top.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And that's part of the loopiness that comes out being out in the woods for so long.
Just I've heard a lot of things. I don't know if anything's true anymore in my life. A crescendo is a musical term.
Yes.
Right? It's like when it gets really loud at the symphony before the end, right?
Yes.
Right? Okay, that's why I question you, because I don't know.
Yeah. And I'm starting to wonder if I know either.
What do we really know?
Yeah, do we really know anything? When you get down to it, really, what's it all about?
I know nothing, and I admit to knowing even less. Because the more you know, the more people expect out of you.
Ooh, that's an interesting...
That's a Homer Simpson kind of thing.
Yeah, that's
I never watched that show.
philosophical, but I'm not... Yeah, I don't know. I like it. I don't want to dig too deep.
Think about it. Yeah, don't dig too deep.
Yeah, no.
When I was a kid, a friend of mine had this. His dad had this little plaque on the wall, kind of a one-liner, and it said, "A man's got to believe in something. I believe I'll have another drink." I thought it was funny.
I always wanted a plaque that just said no, period. I don't want to explain it. I just want it on the wall.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Who can argue with that?
No. But yeah, so moving forward, huh? What do you got? Do you guys have, we talked about some of the projects we haven't done yet, but just on like from a personal standpoint, is there anything you guys are looking forward to getting out of the next couple of weeks? Anything?
Bow drill fires.
Yeah?
I bow drill fires for me, hands down.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to to getting on the water some more and feeling like I'm competent because I think I swam 3 times the last time we were on the water. And definitely getting to the point where I can walk into those woods, make my bow drill set, and be able to do it on trail.
Yeah.
To me, that will be kind of the pinnacle of really what I came to do, and that's to be able to get really good at making fire, just because I consider that kind of the ultimate survival skill.
Well,
that everything else hinges on. Me personally, so...
Yeah, no, when Glenn, when we were working on bow drill last week, Glenn and I were speaking about it, and I think, like you say, survival skill, but to me, the friction fire is the most human thing we teach up here. It's such an innately, it's like the most innately human thing we do, besides maybe eating. But I just think that is the crux of humanity, and when you get that for the first time, it's... Yeah, you guys experienced it.
It was exciting.
It's a crazy experience.
But to be able to do it then in a less controlled environment, to me is going to be like, okay, now I really get this. I understand it. Mm-hmm. I can do this.
Absolutely.
Right now, I'm 3 fires in, and I'm thinking to myself, how much of this is beginner's luck? When's it going to run out? Am I going to be able to really reproduce this when I have to go make another set? And if I do it on trail, so for me. Just getting out in the woods more and kind of putting it all together and feeling competent at poling and paddling.
Yeah.
Great.
Well, I can promise you that we're going to be poling and paddling a lot because I just bought a new boat and that's all I want to do.
Tell us about your new boat.
Oh, I don't know. I'm sheepish now. No, so I bought an old...
Virginia, where the men are men and the sheep are scared.
New to you.
New to me.
It's not new.
It's not new. It's an old EM White 18-foot guide canoe, and I have...
What's it made out of?
Wood and canvas, and somebody fiberglassed it at some point, but yeah, it's really pretty, and I've taken at least 3 paddles around the pond already today. Just any free moment I get, I put it on there. I'm having a sordid love affair with this boat, I think is what's happening.
That every new boat
I
owner
believe you
goes
called it
through
your
that.
side chick.
Yeah, I might have. I might have referred to it as that. But now it's going to go on the air, so thanks for ruining that for me, Anthony. You're going to get me in trouble. Please move on.
Okay. No, it's a beautiful boat. EM White was they built a lot of wood canvas canoes, and eventually they were bought by Old Town, in the 50s or something. But we've looked at your boat, and based on the thing on it, the little placard, we figured it was made sometime in the 40s, 1940s.
Oh, wow. They stopped making, so EM White, when he sold it around 1950, right? But
I don't know exactly.
Yeah, so basically anything that's an EM White rather than White and Company is just my understanding is essentially 1940 or earlier. So it's definitely pre-World War II, and I was still floated it this morning, which is awesome.
Yeah, and they're beautiful boats. I have a 20-foot EM White guide canoe built by Island Falls Canoe, Jerry Stelmach, who ended up purchasing the original EM White molds. So that you can still get these boats. They're still being made, but it's a really kind of specifically shaped canoe. And I believe, if my history serves me correctly, that the 20-foot was taken, the lines were taken off the 20-foot Passamaquoddy ocean canoe.
Wow.
But it's a very sharp entry and exit line, real beamy. So, it's a really fast, agile boat and just gorgeous, right? Like there's few things in the world prettier than, a wood canvas canoe going across water, because it's the same, the difference between a wood canvas and a birch bark canoe is the wood canvas would have metal fasteners, none of which you can usually see when you're in the boat. So you can
And the birch bark has birch?
And the birch, and it's sheathed with birch bark as opposed to canvas. So they went from birch bark to wood canvas when they ran out of birch. They made so many birch bark canoes in this part of the world that they ran out of good birch, and somebody was like, well, what if we covered it in canvas and painted it? That'd be waterproof. And so they're still doing it.
Yeah, it was really... Your boat's almost 80 years old.
Yeah.
Maybe older, depending.
It's crazy, right?
Yeah, it is nuts.
And there was, this morning, I said that I was cleaning it, but really I was just gently caressing this new toy that I have, and I had it.
Come on, cut it up.
I'm sorry. But seriously,
you're saying while I'm getting in trouble throwing the hose on you.
While I'm cleaning it out, while I was cleaning it out, like looking at the ribs that are in it and thinking that like somebody by hand bent these and then fastened them in, and that long ago, and the thing, I put it on the water and it still floats.
And what I was just thinking
that's
about
amazing to me.
Was imagine if that canoe could talk and tell you all the stories of where it's been, who's been in it, what's happened. Think of if you could just look back at the history of that boat and look at it and say, all these things have happened. It's been here and it's been there, and this family was in it, or this guy trapped in it, or taught his grandson how to fish.
The amazing thing with old handcrafted stuff, right? It's got a history.
Yeah. So I bought it. I bought it from our friend Don Merchant, and he told me that the person who owned it before me was also a guide and also did. He guided specifically youth trips, which is what I do, which was just that little bit.
That's cool.
That's so cool to have this little bit of history and to know that I'm doing the same thing the person who had it before me did.
So I have similar thoughts about some of the axes I use, right? Because they're made in the 1940s. I'm like, oh man, I wish you could talk and tell me all the places you've been. And I mean, if it could, it would probably be like, well, I spent 50 years in a closet.
Right. And then this nice man Don found me.
He broke my handle.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the cool, these things that, when something's made by a craftsman, I think it's just a fundamentally different thing at that point, because someone's put their energy and like their life skill and lifeblood into it, as opposed to like, being poured in a plastic mold somewhere in China. And it's just different. So I love the idea of craftsman-made items, especially being handed down and used generations later, right?
And with the boat, there's parts on it where it's clearly been, like, Don fixed it, but there's other parts where it's been repaired, and you want to sit with the person who was paddling it then, and, like, you want them to tell you the story of, like, they flipped that boat, and it broke a rib, and they had to... It's so cool to just sit and think about.
Yeah, because in a few generations, I could have my wood boat, and there'll be a hole in it from where I had it in the pond, and a bull shark fit a hole in it.
Attacked it, took a
bite. It was this big! I almost had it in the boat, and then it bit my canoe in half.
Right.
That'd be a good one. Yeah, that would be... No one else could tell that story.
Let me tell you about the old bull shark.
So here's my plan. We're going to buy a set of bull shark jaws from off the web, and we're going to measure them directly, and we're going to cut a hole in your canoe that matches that.
I think we're gonna have to get a costume.
Yeah,
or at least a fin, and have somebody swim around the pond.
What if we get a baby shark?
Yeah, let's go. Okay, so here's the plan. We're going to get a baby shark. We're going to hire a professional actor to play the part of Quinn from Jaws to tell all of his stories as the baby shark swims around the pond.
Farewell and adieu to you Spanish ladies.
We're gonna need a bigger boat.
This hasn't gone off the rails at all.
No, it hasn't. But seriously, this is... We're getting somewhere.
Yeah. So Christopher bought a new boat, and it's nice.
I'm very excited about it. I'll stop now.
So last thing to talk about is thinking about mixing it up, spring of 2020. Up to this point, since we've been doing 2 semesters a year, which is, I think, 2012 or 2013. Since then, we've done 2 long courses a year. They've been the same course, and we were talking this past weekend about just the idea of I feel like we're almost trying to serve 2 masters with the way that we currently run the course, and those 2 masters are based on the ILOs for the course, the intended learning outcomes, what we want people to walk away from the course with. So currently, it's to be, in essence, like a fully vetted bushcraft instructor and a canoe guide, right, to guide remote wilderness expeditions. And it always feels like we're rushing and trying to push and squeeze a lot of stuff in. Like, it feels at times, and you guys may corroborate this with the amount of stuff we ask of you to accomplish, that it feels at times like we're trying to squeeze 20 weeks into 9 with all the academic work and the trips. So we're always sitting here like, well, you know, okay, how far are we through these projects? We got to get out on the trail. And it just feels like we never get as much time on the trail as we would like. So
yeah, like you're rushing through some of the projects. Or, I get it. Yep.
Or then you go to read, because you're supposed to read all this stuff. And I mean, literally in the library, and I'm falling asleep. Yeah. You know?
So just thinking about changing it up and kind of splitting the semester into having the spring and the fall be different. Where the spring is more focused around paddling, guiding, living on the trail, and the fall is more focused on the crafting, the bushcraft, the primitive living skills. Just something I'm thinking about because, you know, every spring when the water's high and we're in camp, I'm always like, oh, I wish I was at Baker Lake at the headwaters of the St. John, or I wish I was out on Millamagass at the headwaters of the Aroostook, or, you know, I bet the fish are really biting on the Allagash right now. So,
and one of the things that I can attest to with the expedition last year was you learn so much more by actually doing it than just, oh, we're going to go pulling upstream for a couple hours. When we were out there, it's like, okay, well, we have to get to this point.
Right.
Oh, okay.
And we're going to get there in this course, but we practice a little bit close to home before we have the boats loaded and there's no way out. But yeah, so it's just something I'm thinking about. We'll probably hash this out further in future podcasts. But
I think what we should address is that, you know, Anthony's talking about, falling asleep in the library. That'll still happen on both semesters. It's just that they'll be more focused on one thing
falling
or the other.
Asleep in the library?
Yes, you'll be very focused on falling asleep in the library. Preferably with some warm milk and a lavender pillow.
Yes, that'd be awesome.
The reason it feels like, you know, when you guys leave here, if you guys get the journeyman, that's a minimum level of competency, right? For a really wide range of skills. Because we could teach about any of the stuff up here for a year.
Well, like,
you know?
bows. We were making bows this morning. We could make bows and archery tackle for 9 weeks easy.
Right.
And we'd still scratch the surface, right? We wouldn't maybe...
So the idea is focus each semester on one thing or the other rather than trying to do get both. Our fingers and everything.
Trying to serve multiple masters, you know. So if you want to become a bona fide expedition leader, canoe guide, live on the trail, you know, fish, all those kind of more spring appropriate skills, then the spring would be more appropriate. And if you're really interested in the primitive living and the bushcraft and stuff, then maybe the fall would be more appropriate. And we haven't officially committed to doing this. It's just we're kind of thinking out loud and
it makes a lot of sense, though. I mean, with what we've been doing so far, it feels good, but there are some things that do feel rushed. And instead of turning in a product and you're like, I'm happy with this, but I could still do better. Yeah. You know, I'd rather just be like, here, I am fully 100% confident that I busted my butt and that you could say it looks like crap, but I know it's going to work and it looks great.
Sure. See, one of the draws for me to come here actually was that we're doing both.
We would still do both. Like, we'll still go canoeing in the fall, but we're not going to try to do several multi-week river trips.
Yeah, I mean, you know, so the big thing for me was I wanted to be more competent in the woods because I do a lot of woodsy stuff back home, like hiking and camping and that sort of thing. And yet I really like canoeing. So for me, it was I really need to get more competent with that because that opens up an entirely different thing for me. You know, if I can't hike for whatever reason, then maybe I can go paddle somewhere. Definitely. So, you know, for me, it was just looking at both of those, and it was a really good combination of both. But it feels like it is. You're just constantly getting bombarded with more information, more things to do, and it is too short of a semester. But you know, how do you get more time away?
Yeah, exactly.
You know, I took a leave of absence from work, and they were good with that, but. If I went out much longer without an income, that would be a real issue. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So
no, it's a definite challenge. Yeah. There's no easy answer. And again, it's just kind of thinking about it over the last few days about, you know, what if we had already done 3 weeks on the river and we're going to do 3 more. And it wouldn't, we're not going to go live on the river for 9 weeks. We'll go do a trip, come back for a week, go do a trip, come back, go do a trip, come back. So it would be more like that, where we wouldn't have, say, well, we got to get pack baskets done and we got to make mocha-toggans and we got to finish this and do that and all the other, I think, but I do think it's a benefit that we take a big bite, like almost bite off more than you can chew, right? I think that's better than kind of hanging around and being bored.
But you can learn to do all your fires out on the river.
Oh yeah.
You could.
There would still be a lot.
They would do a lot of
So
the crafts out on the river too.
I think we should really make it clear that we're not talking about like splitting them entirely. It's just that one course will lean more one way, and one will lean more the other.
Yeah.
You could definitely spend a lot of time with the plants and animals when you're out in the field.
Yeah.
And I think that would be super valuable, seeing all those things in multiple environments.
Absolutely.
Yep. And again, we will on this course, and it would just be more. It would just be more time on trail.
Yeah.
That'd be nice.
Yeah.
To be honest, we're not bathing a lot around here, and I think if we were on the trail, we'd be falling into the water a lot, and we'd probably smell a lot better.
I know I'd be falling in the water a lot.
But yeah, for the people that are listening, tell us what you think too. That'd be interesting to hear more viewpoints about it.
But what we came up with for the spring semester, it would still be the spring Wilderness Bushcraft Semester, semicolon, or would it be a full colon?
I'm not giving you any more answers to questions because you just ripped them apart.
Okay. But we would call it the Wilderness Canoe Expedition Guide School.
I like that.
Call it whatever you want.
That sounds good.
Okay.
Daisy.
Happy.
I'm going to call it Daisy.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right,
I'm sorry.
Anyway.
Yeah, this is getting a little
punchy.
We're
we usually do these in the morning, first thing over coffee, and we're able to stay on topic a little better.
We're circling the drain, but it's going a different direction because Glenn's here.
That's right.
And everything goes backwards and
We're going
Australia, right?
counterclockwise instead of
Isn't that how it
clockwise.
works?
Yeah, the bull shark's about to appear.
Oh, perfect.
I'm going to tell them that I'm from up over.
And then they'll eat you.
Thank you very much for listening to us prattle on and on about things for this period of time. We hope that you enjoyed this. If you found it to be useful, please share it with somebody. Leave us a review. And again, thanks for listening. We hope you guys have a great day. You have been listening to the Jack Mountain Bushcraft Podcast. For more information on our professional wilderness guide training programs that are college accredited and GI Bill approved, visit us on the web at jackmtn.com.